On this quick tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get the MiSTer project all set up. Almost from start to finish. Let's go. All right, everyone. So if you're unfamiliar with the MiSTer project, the MiSTer Fpga project, it is a fantastic, fantastic project that's kind of the beginning to, I'm sorry, I say beginning. It's the start of a whole new way of retro gaming. If you're unfamiliar with Fpga and kind of the benefits of Fpga, then this video won't be the one that tells you that. I apologize. There's lots of other videos that I can link to. Maybe I'll post links maybe up here, or maybe down in the description I'll post some links kind of explaining what it is. But essentially it's emulation, not emulation, right? Like emulation has gotten kind of a dirty word by saying that, you know, things like RetroArch and a Raspberry Pi and all of that. The MiSTer project is a little different. What it's doing, it's using an Fpga it is hardware emulation. It's a cycle accuracy, and you know that it's not even that, because even some developers from the MiSTer will say like, hey, don't use cycle accuracy because not all of the cores that are created for MiSTer are 100% cycle accurate. At least they try to be, and that's kind of the big deal, is you're playing things with the slowdown, with the cycle accuracy of an original hardware. So the advantages to the MiSTer project are it's low lag, you have digital outputs, you have multiple outputs through this. You can go you can use again, and I'll explain what all these are in a second. This particular hat is called the Digital I/O hat, which gives you access to some hardware buttons. It gives you access this right here, which is not a USB 3 port, even though that's what it looks like. It's the serial I/O port. It's basically got 6 pins in there, like USB 3.0, but you can use it for other things, and I can talk about that in another video. But there's RAM expansion, which is what this is right here. The middle board right here is the MiSTer, and then you've got a USB hub down here at the bottom, and all of this is kind of add-ons that you purchase. What people call the MiSTer project, or the MiSTer in general, is the center board right here. It is the DE10 Nano, made by Jurassic, and that particular board is a development Fpga board that is subsidized for learning purposes, and yeah. So anywho, long story short, I'm going to show you how to get this set up. This particular setup for MiSTer is my secondary MiSTer. I have another one on my main TV. But to get started here, what you're going to need is, of course, your DE10. You're going to need a USB hub, and I've got mine already attached to here. You don't need this one right here. You don't need the Digital I/O one, although I have it on here. This top board right here gives you hardware buttons. It gives you a secondary SD card, which most cores don't use. A lot of the, I want to say the Amiga core and the Commodore 64 can use it, but and that might have been even early on in its development. I think the Beta X6800 core uses it, but it's really not needed. Audio, this gives you analog audio out, and digital audio out, depending on the version of the board that you've got. You can get SPDIF, Toslink audio out through here. This board also gives you RGB, gives you component and VGA, all from this one port. And this switch right here kind of gives you the sync on green functionality. This cable right here, using a set of cables like this. This is a VGA to component. Don't mind the colors. The colors are irrelevant right here. This one is like green, red, and blue. Actually, it's funny. This cord is just kind of a cheaper one, but it does work. I've tested it. But this is a component cord, and you plug this in, and then you can plug this into a CRT or maybe a projector or some sort of device that takes component. But I digress. That's not what you need to get this set up. To start, you're going to need the DE10 and a USB hub. And the USB hub can be as simple as something like this, or it can be something as simple as this, which the reason being is it can't be just any USB hub. You'll notice that this is the board that you use, but there is no USB ports on this. That's a mini USB for input, but there is no USB. This port right here, that right there is an OTG USB port. So that is a micro USB. And to get full-size USB-A out of that, you would need something as simple as this, which is a actually that's a USB-C one, but I have a USB micro USB version of this that you basically plug in here, and it gives you USB-A. And for some reason I can't find it. I thought I had it on my desk somewhere, but I digress. You don't need that right now. I'm going to be using the bigger one that I already have installed on here. The MiSTer project price ranges. You can buy just the MiSTer board itself from DigiKey, from MiSTer, from Amazon. It ranges from $135 to $140 by itself, and then all the add-ons are extra, right? To start, I would say that you would need the MiSTer, and you need at least the 32 megabyte memory. Without the 32 megabyte, you won't be able to play the majority of the cores. By default, I think you can play TurboGrafx 16 and Genesis without this. It's just the way the core was written. But right now, this is the optimal setup: 128 megabyte memory, a digital, I/O board, a USB hub, all ready to go. And when you buy the Nano, it'll come with a power cord and all that you need. So this is the base core, or this is the ultimate version of the base core, what you need for the MiSTer, like, to get going. So this is it right here. Next thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need a keyboard, and I have a dongle already right there. It's a USB dongle. I would, if you're gonna have this use a lot of computer cores like the Amiga or the Commodore, then sure, go ahead and invest in a full-size keyboard and mouse setup. I use this a lot for console gaming, and I don't use the keyboard for typing much, but I do need it some of the time. So my go-to is this little bad boy right here. This is like a $15 or $11 to $15 keyboard off Amazon. It's a 2.4 gigahertz. It has an on switch, and you know, it just plugs into that. It syncs pretty easily to this dongle. It has a mouse. It has up, down, left, right. Okay, you know, it's very simple to navigate with. This is my go-to. And the last thing you're going to need, of course, is to play games. And any USB controller will usually work. You can plug in something like the 8-bit DO through USB. If you want to use Bluetooth, you will need a Bluetooth dongle. If you want Wi-Fi on here, you can use a Bluetooth. You can use a Wi-Fi dongle, as small as one that's this big, or you can plug in something as big as this thing right here if you really wanted to. And this will work. It actually functions. And there you go. You now have Wi-Fi on your MiSTer. This is overkill. I'm not going to use this one. This is just one that I had lying around. But you will need network connectivity of some sort to do the setup that we're going to be doing. So get yourself a Wi-Fi dongle, one about this size, one like this if you want to, if you're going to have it somewhere where you might have low frequency. This works. This one definitely is compatible. And again, you're going to need a controller. So let's go ahead and get the software set up going, but let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the computer and go from there. Okay, so let's get this SD card set up for your MiSTer. There's a few things you're gonna need first, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of lay them all out. First off, you're gonna need some way to write the files onto the SD card. And if you're familiar with working with Raspberry Pis, one of my favorite tools to use is Balena Etcher. It used to just be called Etcher, but they got renamed to Balena. Balena Etcher. Go ahead and go to Balena. I'll put the link in the description down at the bottom, balena.io. Go ahead and download and install this. And the next thing you're going to need is you're going to need the base. There's multiple ways to get this set up, but this is the easiest way nowadays. The MiSTer Fusion Universal MiSTer installation image. Go ahead and go to the releases page and download it. This is 2.2. Back in December, it's an old file, but it doesn't matter because you just need to get the base image installed, and then you can update the base image. The next thing that you want to install, and this is the update all script. This is a fantastic script that will pretty much keep your MiSTer up to date and gets a lot of the necessary files needed for you to run. It'll download a lot of the MRA files needed for a lot of the arcades. There's only one major arcade ones that it doesn't get, and that would be the Jotego beta cores. And those are all part of the Patreon, so you have to be a Patreon. But I am going to show you how to install those, so that way I know I've had a lot of questions. Hey, how do I install the CPS2 files? You know, I follow Jotego, but I don't know where to put the files. I'll go ahead and show that as well in the video, and we'll go from there. So again, the MiSTer, we need the MiSTer Fusion, files, which is right here. We're going to need the update all script, and these are the Jotego files, and I will show you how to do those later. So first things first, let's go ahead and open up a Balena Etcher here, and there it is. And we're going to go ahead and flash from File. I'm going to go ahead and choose Desktop, choose MiSTer Fusion right here, and we're going to go Open All. All right, and then we're going to select our SD card. I've got a 512 gig SD card that I'm going to be using as a test here. Again, you don't need anything. I would suggest maybe 128 or bigger for the amount of ROMs and for most of the systems and the arcade ROMs. You could always go bigger. A lot of the bigger cores like the Sega CD and the TurboGrafx CD cores, the games take up a lot of space. There are ways to kind of make those smaller. You can compress the bin and queue files or the ISO files into .chd files, which are supported, and it saves you a ton of space. I can show you how to do that on another video, but for right now, the important part is you want to have a big enough SD card to kind of get a lot of the ROMs that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and select my 512 gig card and go ahead and hit flash here. And yes, you're going to get a warning if it's anything bigger than like 128. It'll say, hey, are you sure? It'll make sure that you're not accidentally like wiping an external drive or something. But yep, I'm correct. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Nope, I'm sorry. We're not going to change it. We're going to choose that, select, and then flash. And yes, I'm sure. There we go. Oh, yep. And we're going to go. And this should take like no time at all because it's very tiny. It's going to validate it real quick. And we're set. So the next step here on this is that if you were to look at your drive here, you're going to notice that that drive doesn't show up. And there's a reason for that, is the flashed drive is not readable by Windows at the moment. It will be, but we need to take that SD card and go ahead and put it in the MiSTer first before we do anything else. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so this next step is, I went ahead and switched over to my MiSTer, but I don't have it plugged in yet, and that's because it's going to go by pretty quickly. I've got my HDMI plugged in, and I don't have the power. I have the keyboard plugged in, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my SD card. Let me take out my SD card for my other one. I'm going to pop in the 512 gig card right here. And I know you can't see that on camera, but it's It's really, you just click it back in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the power, and you should see it come up. I think. There it is. So there's the MiSTer Fusion. So again, it's a 2-minute process. You think it's not doing anything, just let it do it. It probably doesn't even take a full 2 minutes. Just let it do its own thing. It's going to reboot, and it's going to reboot right into the MiSTer project. So we'll just let it go. So it's going to go ahead and reboot right here. And there it is. Now, again, if you're new to the MiSTer project, that first screen is a little jarring. You see all that static, you think something's wrong. That's the default background to give you kind of that static, old school feel. If you hit F1 on your keyboard, that will switch and toggle through some wallpapers and color bars. As a black screen, go back to that. So again, the one I like to go to here is I'll go to that one for default. And that's it on the base setup here. But we need to get it updated now. So I'm going to go ahead and on my keyboard, I'm going to hit the escape button. And you'll see here the OS version and the MiSTer version. And if you hit escape one more time, I'm sorry, escape and then the left arrow, you're going to see this. There's no network right now. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my network cable. And give it a second and it should update and give us a IP address. Now, once that is there, we're going to go ahead and go back to exit here. We're going to hit escape again, and we're going to go down to scripts. We're going to hit enter on that, and it's going to ask you, this is the first time you do it. Scripts control things, you know, they can do all sorts of things to your SD card. Are you sure you want to do it? Yes, and don't ask again for me. You can hit yes and make it nag you every time. I'm going to go ahead and choose this. So now you'll notice there are two options or two scripts in here. One is the Wi-Fi one. If you go in here, this is where you would go, and if you don't have a network cable to plug in directly, this is where you would set up the Wi-Fi. So you would click on that and enter your, it would search for your network, find your network, hit enter, type in your network key, hit return, and then connects, and then you would have a Wi-Fi icon at the top left. But I'm already connected. You saw that I had an IP address. So I'm going to go ahead and hit update here. And this is going to go online, run the MiSTer update script, and update it. And this will download the newest version of the MiSTer project with the newest core and kind of get the main system up to date. So we'll just let this run, and I'll come back when it's done. All right, so at this point, you saw that it rebooted, and as soon as it reboots, it'll come back to the main screen. Now, you'll notice that the screen looks a little different. There are actually now things on here. Arcade, and you'll notice that all of these arcade games are here. Now, that means the cores are installed. But if I try to run any of these, for example, if I try to run Burger Time, file not found, right? Which, again, that's understandable. At this point, this would be where you would then go ahead and go and find your arcade ROMs. But this is where the fun starts. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the next step. What I said earlier, the update all script. Fantastic little script here. And let me go ahead and split the screen real quick. All right, so I'm going to flip back over to my PC here. And on this screen, what I'm going to go ahead and do is, and again, I apologize, I'm going to mention it at the beginning of the video. There's one more program you're going to need. You're going to need a, my suggestion would be to get this application right here. And again, I apologize. WinSCP. WinSCP is a secure FTP program. It is not FTP. That's one of the big things that a lot of people get confused about. MiSTer supports SFTP. So what you want to do here is you want to go back to your MiSTer, and you want to go ahead and hit escape, hit the left key. I'm sorry, hit escape again. Hit the left key here and your IP address, 192.168.1.71. And once you have that, you're going to go ahead and go back to your PC here. All right, and you're gonna open up WinSCP. All right, here it is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in here, 192.168.1.71. Username is root. Password is the number 1. And I've already got it set in there. It says like it's a bunch of characters in here, but it's not. It's literally the number 1. Make sure it's port 22. Make sure file protocol is SFTP here. Then we're going to hit save and log in. And here we go. This is the MiSTer layout. If you connect and you get to this screen right here, let's see if I can. If you get to this screen right here, you want to go to your media folder. Inside of media, FAT. Inside of FAT, this is where you put your games. There's a games folder in here. Inside of the games, you're going to see all of the different cores. Neo Geo, Mega CD, Genesis, GBA, Game Boy, all the SNES, Sega Master System. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna throw on just a few games here, just so for testing purposes, something small. I will throw this folder over here to the NES. I'm going to go to the NES folder here. I'm going to throw this folder into there. That should transfer fairly quickly. And I say fairly quickly. Of course it doesn't. Now again, you have multiple ways to transfer ROMs. You can transfer them this way. Which I did. It's now complete here. And you can see here that I transferred over all of these NES ROMs. Or you can turn off your MiSTer, pop in the SD card, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But for now, I just went ahead and just showed you how to transfer some games on here. So now there's that. Now, the next step, or actually the first step should have been, see this scripts folder here? Let's go ahead and go in there. We're going to go and unzip that update all that we would have gotten from right here. So we would have gone to releases here. Oop, I'm sorry. We would have gone to code, download zip. Click on that. That'll open up this. Update all. Drag that to the desktop there. Close that out. Minimize that. And you're going to see update all. Now, what you need to do is in this scripts folder, we need to transfer this file right here, update all.sh. So let's go ahead and drag it over here. And there it is. So let's double check that it's there. Update _ all.sh. So now that that's there, let's go back to the MiSTer. Now, here on the MiSTer, we're going to go ahead and hit the home button again. Hit it one more time. Go down to scripts, and you'll see that now there's a ton of different scripts in here. This is when you did that first update, it downloads a bunch of these. This is Bluetooth pair. This is how you would pair Bluetooth devices. Our next step is to go to the update all script, and this is the important one. When you run this, it's going to do all sorts of things. You'll notice that it's got updaters and MAME getter and BIOS getter. This will download a lot of the files that you need to run a lot of those cores. So let's go ahead and hit down to continue. And this runs the update script that we ran before, plus it runs all of the other things. So you'll see that it says nothing to update. That's because we already ran that first script before. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run, and I will mention when something is happening that we need to go through. So I'll fast forward here. And it's done. So we're going to go ahead and hit any key. Where's the any key? And there we go. We're now back up here, and you are set. If I go to console here, you'll notice that everything is nice and organized. I'm going to go to NES here. I'm going to load one of those ROMs that I put on there earlier. Let's go to and there we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set up your controller. So, I'm going to go back to reboot. You reboot back to the main screen here, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in my my USB controller here, and just plug it in there. And then the next step is you have to get the controller first to work in the OSD, in the main core itself, the menu system. So we're gonna hit the escape key, go to this menu. Instead of scripts, we're gonna define joystick buttons. We're gonna hit enter there. Now you want to have your keyboard next to you. All right, D-pad tests. Press right. I'm gonna hit right, and then down. And I don't have a stick on this. I'm using a USB Saturn controller. So I'm gonna hit space to undefine that. I don't need to define that. Space again. So now here we go. Right, left, down, up, and then I'm gonna map this a specific way. You can map it how you want. Left, right, select, start. And I'm going to skip, menu key. So this can be two buttons. I'm going to choose a button here. And I don't need to hit OK. I'm going to skip that one, skip that one, skip that one, skip that one. I'm done. So now I'm going to use I can use my joystick to control the menus. So this is actually my gamepad I'm using to control this. I'm going to hit, if I want to go back to that screen, instead of hitting escape on the keyboard, I can hit the menu key. And that takes me here. So that's what you want to have. If you have a controller that has a home button of some sort, an Xbox One controller, a PS3, PS4, a Switch controller, anything with a home button, you can set the menu key to the home button, and that makes it so much easier. So now that I've got a controller set, I'm going to go ahead and go back to console. Go to NES. I'm going to load a game here. And I don't know if I've got my audio set up for the MiSTer on the stream here. But I'm going to choose Mario 3. And there we go. and that's it. Now I'm gonna at this point you're done. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and transfer more ROMs, but the next step is I'm going to show you how to add that Patreon core, the Jotego core. So I'm going to go ahead and go back out here. I'm going to reboot back to the main menu. Now, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the computer real quick. Now I'm going to back out here to the main folder. Here's arcades. Now, here's the newest Jotego core. Inside of there is a folder, _arcade. I've gone ahead and extracted it to my desktop. There it is right there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and drag that here, and you'll see that it's transferring it. It went ahead and put, here are the MRA files that are needed. It put hit 927 here. You can see that those are transferred just now, or actually 1944, that one right there. You can see here that what it did is it moved over a lot of these MRA files right here, including the core right there, and then some alternate cores. Either way, it now put them in the right folder. Once the MRA files are here, you need to go back and run. Go back to the MiSTer. We'll hit the home button here. We'll hit escape. Go down to scripts. Now, hold on. Before I do this, I'm going to show you. If I go to arcade here, and I go to organized, and I go to core, you'll see here that I don't have those in here. Now, I don't like the way that this is all set up right now. I'm going to show you something else as well. But it's not in here. The CPS2 core is not in here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to hit the home button. I'm going to go back to scripts. And we're going to go back to update all. Now, before we hit anything, I'm going to hit up on the keyboard. This will take you here. One thing that's disabled by default that I like to enable is the names text updater. So I'm going to hit right. I'm going to toggle that to enabled. And then I'm going to go to exit and run update all. It's going to say, do you sure you want to run, that? It won't save those settings. Next time it'll just be back to the way. I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to run it the way it is. So you'll see that you'll see that name text updaters up top. So it's going to run that script again. This time around, because those MRA files are in there, they're in the right location, the update script will see those files and download the ROMs needed using the MAME getter script. That's part of the script, the update all script. So right now you'll see there's going to be a lot of nothing to update because of course this will be the third time I've run this. But again, this is optional. This is only if you are actually a paying member of the Patreon and you want to know how to add it. Every time he releases an update on Fridays, you would then download the actual MiSTer zip file. It's, for example, his CPS 2 one is called JT CPS2 _ MiSTer _ and then the date. So today's was 4/16/21. And I unzip that and put it in there. When next Friday, he'll release another one if he does, and it'll have a new _arcade. You just drag and drop it to that location. Then you come back here. You have to drag and drop it first, and then you run the update all script. Once you do that, it's going to download the files needed, and you'll see this in a second. Also, I went ahead and did the name text organizer, so you'll see that it's going to change some things in the way the naming scheme for those cores are. So I'll go ahead and fast forward now. All right. Huh. So once it's done here, you're going to notice some things have changed again. If you go to arcade, you're going to notice that all the naming schemes are different. There's going to be some organization here. If you go to organized here, core, Capcom, CPS 1, 1.5, and there's 2 right there. So again, these are the Patreon ones. If I click on that, there they are. So if I choose, for example, let's go to one of my favorites. It'll assemble the ROM there. These ROMs are pretty big. These will require 128. There's Alpha 3 up and running. So if I hit the menu button here, I'm going to go ahead and define my buttons. Right, left, down, up, light punch, medium punch, heavy, light, medium, heavy, start, coin, and then a pause. Well, back out here. See, the pause button gives you the credits here. I'm going to go ahead and enter a coin, start, and there we go. And that's it. Let's go ahead and back out, and I'll show you what's going on, and we'll round this video off here at the end. Ooh, before I forget, one last thing here. So I'm going to show you how to add ROMs directly on the card, and then from there we can wrap it up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my MiSTer. Here it is. I'm going to pop the SD card out of the MiSTer. I'm going to go ahead and pop it into my SD card reader here. I'm going to minimize that. There we go. All right. So, once you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the PC. I don't know, you're looking at this screen here for nothing. Once you've done that, you're going to see this right here. The MiSTer drive, and you'll notice that the layout is exactly the same. So technically, instead of networking over, you could have popped this card in and moved these files over, like the scripts. Move that script over, the update all script. All right, and then its location. If you wanted to move games, you go to games here, and we'll go ahead and let's go ahead and go to my ROMs drive here. And let's say you wanted to put it, let's drop Atari 2600 here. I'm going to go ahead and put 2600 ones there. Boom. And that's it. Like, once they're there, you pop the card back into the MiSTer, and they will show up in, as long as they're in the right folder, the ROMs are going to show up in the right spot, and you should be able to just select them. And that's it. I mean, it's really that simple. All right, so we're back here. And there we go. So there is the card that we've been working with, the 512 gig card. All I have to do is take it out of my computer, pop it right back in here, and it's the I'm sorry, just right, lower one. I always forget that. It's right there, that spot right there. Just pop the card right back in, and that's it. It's ready to go. There are more tutorials out there. I wanted to make this one specifically because I feel like things have changed. Things progress with the MiSTer project so quickly, but this seems to be the fastest way to get things set up. The longest part is literally waiting for those downloads. Depending on your download speed, your Wi-Fi speed, that's what's going to take the longest time. But the nice part is it gives automatically downloads all of the arcade ROMs, all of the arcade files. Some of those arcade ROMs are very specific on the way that they're made. Getting the MRA files in the right spot, etc. But this will pull down all the MRA files and the core files. So basically CPS1, CPS2, a lot of the old, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, all of those are there. They're ready to go, and it'll download them and put them in the right spot. Again, the CPS2 ROMs are part of the Patreon, so please go and support Jotego on his Patreon. At $3 will give you access to his library. He's a genius at this. He's doing something that he has gone in and fixed a lot of games that were running incorrectly in the main project, and things like Contra, for example. His Contra core is phenomenal. It fixes the music in a way that was incorrectly done. Him and Furtek, if I'm not mistaken, he's the individual who brought us the Neo Geo core. Him and Jotego both worked on that specific sound chip, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I'm not wrong on that. And there's a lot of other creators out there, by all means. Jotego's one of them. There's a few other ones out there that are creating. We're seeing progress on the PS1 core on Saturn. That's ridiculous. I can't even comprehend the fact that, this little device right here might be able to run Saturn one day. And please, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, you want me to do other tutorials, kind of a step-by-step on how to do things, please let me know. Comment below, like, subscribe, share, whatever, the same old YouTube stuff. I did this mostly because I felt like I hadn't seen a video that showed us the fastest way. There was a lot of people showing the old way using the SD utility, and also a lot of people didn't talk about the update all script. And honestly, it's on GitHub, so you're not doing anything wrong technically. It's the fastest way to kind of get up and running here. All right, well, take care, everyone.